Hey, it's Robin again, and we're back for part 2 on our recycled shopping bag pumpkins. I've let it dry overnight. It's real muggy and rainy outside, so it's taken a little bit longer, and it's still kind of wet on the bottom. So I'm not gonna really worry about it because the bottom. So anyway, first thing we're gonna do is just mix up some paint. I've used anything from house paint, fingernail polish, anything you want to. I'm using tempera paint, and I'm gonna make orange. Since I didn't have orange, I'm gonna make orange. And my grandson, Dax, he's 4. He is so smart. I know every grandmother says that I'm actually a Gigi, but he knows that red and yellow make orange. I'm sure because he's watched a lot of videos. But anyway, so kind of looks like ketchup and mustard, but just gonna mix it up just like that until I get the orange that I want. That's more on the red side, so I need to add more yellow. And there's really not a recipe necessarily, just kind of have to do it till you get the color that you like. Still too red? And if I wanted it more terracotta, I would add like some brown to it, or if I wanted it, lighter like a clay color, I'd add some white. Man, it is still pretty red. So I'm thinking like 3 parts yellow to 1 part red might be our ratio. Maybe even more than that, because I'm gonna have a lot of orange paint. I'm not gonna need that much, but we're getting there. But yeah, that's still too red for me. And the glaze that I'm going to put on after is actually going to tone it down, add some brown tones to it. So, if it's too bright, it'll definitely knock it down a lot. And that's one of my go-to products that I love. I've used for years and years and years, and you can only get it at one place, and that is Lowe's, and it's the Valspar Antiquing Glaze. This stuff is amazing. It used to be a lot less expensive, but so did everything else. I still think that's too red. Maybe this is it. Yeah, that's way better. That's way more orange. So, anyway, I just buy these inexpensive. You can get inexpensive chipper brushes, or these come in a package for maybe $2 or $3 at your dollar store. And I'm seriously, that's still a little bit reddish, but I'm just gonna paint it on. You can take your time if you want to, but I like to move on to other stuff, so I tend to do things a little faster because this is just a means to the end for me. But if you enjoy it, just recently learned that you can actually slow down and enjoy things. For some reason, I've just always thought you have to do things super fast. You're gonna be in trouble, so just learning at a late age, but learning to slow down a little bit and not take things so seriously, because Lord knows there's enough things in this world that we do have to take seriously. So if we waste our time on things that's not that big of a deal, we'll have more energy for the things that are a big deal. Like our world right now. It's a little interesting, to say the least. But I'm just kind of, sometimes you can dab, like to get in the cracks. But I like the roughness of this pumpkin. I know if you wanted a smoother pumpkin, you could definitely put more bags so that it's a little firmer than this one is. But this is just all, you can modify it to however you like it, but this is still a little on the red side, but when I put my antique glaze on, it will knock it down quite a bit. This stuff is amazing. And then the last thing I'm going to put on there, which I should definitely get a sponsorship from Minwax, because I've used their product for so many different things than what it's actually meant for, that I should be their spokesperson, because I have been for years and not even got paid for it. So ideally, we're going to let that side dry, and then we'll come back in a minute and we're going to flip it over and paint the other side. So while that's drying, I also decided to paint some of these magnolia leaves that I got out of my yard. And it's amazing because look at, I mean, like there's really no rhyme or reason with the colors they end up. But this is naturally some of the colors, and I think they're so cool. So if your colors are more natural, then you could just use them just like that to tuck in around, you know, some decor. But I think this one is really cool. It's probably some bug that got to it, but I still think it's cool looking. But like, see, some of them are gold. These were more yellow, so I painted them orange, and I'm gonna do something kind of funky with that later to show you on the pumpkin. But while those are drying, I'm gonna show you how to make a flower out of basic leaves out of your yard. This is from a, you know what? I don't know what this one is. This is actually, maybe I'll use this one because I've done these before. This one is my Bradford pear. And it's cool because it has these little, these make great stamens, or the center of my flower. And so I'm gonna use that first. But so what I'll do, I don't wanna get it stuck in the paint, but I'm gonna move my paint over here. And I will take off any leaves that are jagged. I only want to keep the good ones. And there's part of the stamen. I'm going to have at least 3 of those. But just pull off the leaves, and you won't need the end. So you're going to have them just like that. It's got a little orange on it, but that's okay. So, you know, after you get a bunch of, that one tore, a bunch of leaves, you want a variety of sizes too, because I'm gonna make more of like a rose type flower with this, whereas those pointier other leaves would have made a different type of flower. So I'll show you that one later. But what I'm basically gonna do is take just the brown paper that I already used to make my pumpkin, which you can see that in a different video that I'll have in the description below. But I'm taking those little berries, and this right here is my favorite little tool. It's a skillet. It's just a regular skillet I got from Goodwill that people used to cook in, and I use it for my glue. And that's just a trick making floral designs, because it's easier just to scoop it in there and put it in your arrangement than have to stop and squeeze the glue gun. But I need one more little berry thing for my center. So I'll just dip it in the glue, stick it in my paper. Well, let me break these off, and that way they'll all be even. You don't want to have them two different lengths. So you're just gluing, don't burn yourself, but I think after years of messing with hot glue, I've kind of gotten immune to burns unless it's really bad. But you're just kind of starting your little center. You can even snap that off if you don't want it. But you're going to start with your small leaf, and you're going to stick that in the glue. Just add it right by the berries, like that, and then kind of squeeze it a little bit. It's kind of hot, but not too hot. And let's see. So I'm just gluing right there at the edge. Just a little bit of glue. And then you're going to scoot over just a little bit. So you're going to overlapping them like that. And the glue builds up on your fingers. Well, that sounded really thick on your fingers. But that's just how I talk. So I'm just going to give myself a little bit more leaves. That one doesn't have stem on it, so I have to get another one. But it's not really a hard concept. You just kind of, you're layering the leaves like that. You just keep adding. We can probably speed this up so you're not having to watch every little tiny thing. And if you set this outside, this is going to turn dark brown, like actually this color. See how dark brown that is? And I have another one I'll show you in a little bit that I dipped it in cream paint. I have a mixture of paint, water, and polyurethane. Like I told you before, I use this stuff for so much. It's just a good sealer, and it has all these different finishes. So if you want it to be matte or you want it to be satin, and because they're going to dry, but you can kind of sort of help guide them when they're fresh like this. And you can put it up there beforehand so you can kind of see. I feel like that's a little bit too big yet. And yep, see, that got a little hot. But it's hot enough to let you know that it's hot. But it doesn't usually burn you. Yeah, I could probably go in with a bigger one. So this would be kind of fun to do, just sit around and with your friends and make fantasy flowers out of leaves because they're free. What's not bad? I mean, what's not great about free? Probably I'll do one more bigger one. That one's, some of these that have like that, when they're dipped, they actually look lacy, like the ones that got the bugs that kind of gotten to them. So even if it's like, you think they're not a good leaf, I found that when I dipped them or painted them, they kind of take on a, they're lacy or look pretty on their own. Yeah, I kind of like put it up there before I glue it, so that way I kind of know where I'm going to go with it. But you've got the, and so I will either paint that, spray paint it once it dries, and then I'll either dip it, and I'll show you one that I've done with the cream, and then I'm going to show you, I'm going to add like color to the edge. We can also add a little bit of gold around the tips, and they would make a great like wrist corsage, even a regular corsage. Yeah. Or you can add them to make garland out of them. Here's one that I dipped in that solution I told you about. It's like a third of cream paint, or any color that you want, a third of water, and a third of the Minwax polyacrylic. And this is what, it kind of made it more rubbery a little bit, so it's not as fragile as it was when it was just dry. Because you know, like a dried leaf is just going to crumble, but this does kind of give it some more stability. And so this one, I can just add a little gold paint to it. Looking around because I thought I had some gold here. You know, gold tips, a little bit of glitter in there. Something sparkly would be really pretty for, like I said, a wedding, or add it to an arrangement. But I'll probably end up making a full arrangement with just flowers made from stuff that I've gotten outside for free. Okay, so we're back. My leaves have dried. For these little funky leaves, there's just a little bit of moisture right there, but that's going to be fine. So, oh, and I'll show you that in a minute, but so I'm gonna make this a little funky. Well, it's not like, okay, coming out. So I'm wanting to do some little splatter paint. That's not working so good. So what I'll do is probably do something like this. But flicking the paint on there. I don't know where the paint's going. Look. That's is it getting anywhere else? There we go. That's what I'm like. Yeah. It is like it is not wanting to cooperate. It's like, it is, usually it flakes right on there, and it's not. But it's like, I feel like it's flicking somewhere, but I don't know where it's flicking at. Maybe it's, yeah, actually getting on there more than I think. So that's all I'm going to do on that one. But my colors are more brighter colors, not your traditional, you know, fall colors. So I like to make things a little different. But I also want it to, I want to be seasonal, but I also want it to kind of go with what I've got going on in my house. So I'm going to put all these, a little bit of all these colors on there. And this is kind of more like what I was wanting to do. But maybe not be quite so messy. And can't say what I want to say, but I guess I could. Like, yeah, just doesn't really like his food. His stomach doesn't, should I say. So. This is being a little different than what I intended, but you know what? Sometimes you just go with it. Because not everything goes as planned. You can make good plans sometimes, but you know, sometimes you just run into a problem and then you just kind of overcome it with another plan. And I think I've done all the colors except for I haven't done any hot pink. And a little bit of gold. Now this is going to take quite a while for this to dry. It's going to be thick. But when it does dry, it'll be pretty darn cool. To kind of make my pumpkin look a little bit more contemporary and a little bit more funky. So while that's drying, I know this is kind of messy, but this is the one I was showing you before. And so I'm going to take some paint that's been diluted with this polyacrylic. I'm going to take it and I'm going to go around like the edges of this faux rose with it. And this is just going to add a little color to it. And let it just all seep in to the center. Then I'll come back with some lighter paint. And then we'll end up with some gold and very pretty. Unique, one of a kind. Not something you can just go buy at the store. But we'll just let that sit. While that's sitting, and let's see. I'm going to just use this can that I have my paintbrushes in. I'm going to set that on there so it has a good place to rest. So it'll be exciting to see what that looks like when it gets dry. So be sure to come back and see what the whole end project looks like. So it started out like this. It's going to have different stages to get to that, but that's not even the last stage.